All right, it's coming. There we go, everybody. You know what? Things happen when you don't get your opening show. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Kathy J Show. Thank you for spending this half hour with us, everybody. I'm Kathy J, and I tell you every day, it means so much to me that you hang out with me because I love hanging out with you. So thank you so much. If you missed anything, please head over to kathyjshow.com any time of the day. And I was just featured in Cherry Creek Fashion, and it's an online magazine, and that article is now going to be on kathyjshow.com for all of you to catch up on. So good reading, everybody, and you can learn more about how we created the Kathy J Show. So today, we are going to talk about it. We are getting into it, everybody. Mental illness, the who, what, why, all of it, everybody. So we're also going to talk about how mental illness is impacting us in our communities, because we're kind of experiencing a fallout right now, so to speak. For instance, what's a fallout? Well, domestic violence incidences in the United States, they've increased by 8.1%. The FBI, they just released a report in September of this year that in Colorado, violent crimes are the highest they've been in 25 years. So experts are saying, well, this could be anything, the result of all kinds of things from the pandemic. But my guest today is saying maybe we need to take a look at mental illness, everybody. So I want you to please welcome to the show, psychotherapist. She has her own practice. Topaz McBride is here. Hello, Topaz. Thank you for being
me.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to have you. So you are a psychotherapist.
Yes, ma'am.
What is a psychotherapist?
Psychotherapist really focuses on supporting people with mental and emotional challenges, also behavioral challenges, but there are various specialties.
Okay.
And so I specialize in working with people with trauma and people who are dealing with unexpected life changes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And you've been doing this a long time. How long have you owned your practice?
Oh my goodness. Well, my current focus, where the area that I'm focusing on now is about 4 years. However, for 23 years, I worked with sexual offenders and their families.
Wow.
Both adults, adolescents, and worked with sexually reactive children. So I was a state-approved, full operating provider for a number of years. Started out with DOC, and that eventually ended up in community-based work.
You're also a social justice activist.
Yes.
You're also you help out with the staff, pastors at the church, at your church. You do so much in the community. So when you're kind of the rock of your family. I want to show a picture of you and your son really fast. He's so cute. His name is Madison.
Madison.
Such a handsome boy. I love him. And then you're also like the rock for your nieces and your nephews. You showed us so many photos. So under the umbrella of mental illness, before we go to commercial break, there's your nephew and your niece.
Well, actually,
that's your son and your
my
niece.
sister, my son, and my goddaughter, Ashlyn, Claudette, and Madison.
I love that. You have so many great photos. We loved all of them. So,
Thank you.
Okay, so under the umbrella of mental illness, it can be what? Anything.
Wow. You've got schizophrenia. You've got bipolar disorder, anxiety. Anxiety is probably at the highest that it's ever been currently in our nation with regard to diagnosed cases. And that doesn't even count the cases that have not been reported.
Diagnosed. Right. You also you were talking about how emotions are. So depression would be in a mental illness. Okay, so there's two top ones that we do want to talk about when we get back, everybody. And it's the ones that Topaz is saying is leading all of the problems that we're facing in our community. And it's the two that usually people don't get help for, the depression and that anxiety.
Yes.
We are going to come back after the commercial break and talk more about that. Thank you so much. Good. Ramos Law is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. He's a medical doctor and a lawyer. Ramos Law, what makes us different makes us better. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So today we are talking about mental health and, more importantly, anxiety and depression. Joining us today is psychotherapist Topaz McBride. Thank you for being here. Yay, Topaz. Okay, so when we were on the call earlier for this show, you were talking about anxiety and depression are the top two mental illnesses right now that we need to discuss. Why?
That's because anxiety has risen to an all-time high.
Okay.
A lot of it has to do with the pandemic. The pandemic has set everyone in a place of fear, uncertainty, just not being able to predict whether or not you're even going to have a job.
Yeah.
Where you have all of these major places of business that you've been able to rely on for years who have gone out of business, from restaurants to retail, corporate, all of that. And so you have people who have been in some really high-risk situations under that stress, which contributes to anxiety and depression, which then also has led to a significant rise in suicide ideation and actual suicide. And violence. You mentioned domestic violence earlier.
Yes, right.
So all of that has been impacted through this pandemic.
I think when the pandemic happened, Topaz, is everyone got to shut their doors, and that wasn't good for so many people. And so they were, and then all of a sudden now you're losing your job. There's another wave hitting you. Now you're trapped with these people and you're fighting with them all the time. There's those waves, and now you don't know how to get back out. So the anxiety has to be through the roof on so many levels. And our thing is, you go to a doctor and they give you a pill. That's kind of the American system, you know, here's a pill to take. That's not really the way to treat mental illness, correct?
Not medication alone.
Okay.
People really need to get the proper mental health support. And it looks different for different people.
It sure does.
And what's beautiful about the way that mental health has evolved over the years is that there are so many options. There are a number of ways to really take care of our mental health. And it doesn't just have to be limited to medication or sitting in a psychiatrist or psychotherapist's office. And especially in communities of color where there's such a high stigma associated with anything related to mental health, that people are reluctant. The idea of going to see a psychotherapist brings on a lot of
like more anxiety?
Yes, good,
Really?
good, exactly. More
Really?
anxiety, stress levels increase, and for different reasons. Sometimes because of the stigma, the lack of trust, but also the cost.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
the
absolutely,
cost
right.
sometimes can be overwhelming. And so it's nice to have the different options when it comes to mental health. Myself, as a mental health professional, I am not a big fan of medication.
Yeah, right.
So with my clients, I leave medication as a last resort. And I can afford to do that because I don't work with clients who have severe mental illness.
Okay.
People who have severe mental illness are most likely going to be connected with a psychiatrist, or maybe they might be connected to a community mental health center.
Gotcha.
And so they are going to be in a situation where they are going to be supervised by someone who is a psychiatrist,
That
so
makes
that
sense.
they can have a medical evaluation. The people that I work with are everyday people in community who are stressed,
Yes.
who are dealing with the anxiety and the depression that we're talking about.
And that's everybody we're talking to right now.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That's me and you.
Yeah, that's me and you. That could be anybody.
Absolutely.
You know? Yes. So when we come back, everybody, you just briefly touched on it, but I want to get into the difference in race. I want to know why it hits the black community harder. So when we come back, let's talk about the pandemic and everything that's been going on,
Sure.
and what you feel the black community is going through right now. We'll be right back, everybody.
Kathy J.
Oakwood Homes is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. Oakwood Homes, building happiness.
Kathy J.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So today we're talking with Topaz McBride. She's a psychotherapist. She's been very active in the community as well for a long time. Happy Christmas Eve to you. And
Thank you.
Yes,
Same to you.
Thank you. So I wanted you to be here today because of the fact that right now a lot of people, whether they're showing it or not, are going through a lot of issues. Everything is coming up this time of year. And you actually just had a really cool grief counseling session that you did with a bunch of people, correct?
Yes, it was actually...
There's some of them right there.
Yes.
There's the group.
That's it. That's
love it.
So we offered a community grief and loss event, is what it was. And so it wasn't really a counseling session. What we did was we started in the morning with this big ritual, traditional African dance.
Love it. Get the energy going.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, by Awade. They came in and they opened up the whole experience and set the tone and centered everything. There was an opportunity for people to bring whatever they wanted to pay tribute to their lost, to whomever they've lost. Because, you know, the grief process, especially in our community, a lot of times people are not dealing with the pain of grief.
No.
Sometimes because they're just so busy. They've got so much going on. They don't take the time to really identify grief. And because I'm getting calls daily from people who've lost someone, and I said, you know what? We need something that's free, that's open to community. We invited anyone that wanted to come and just be a part of this experience.
You need to do another one next month for more people. But you're absolutely right. My stepmother, a little shout out to her, Sandy, she passed away 2 weeks ago, and I'm holding off the grief until I can have time off, you know, because, and that's not healthy, and that's not the way to do it, but so many of us have lost something this year. The past 2 years, we've lost jobs, we've lost relationships, we've lost people, and you have to go through the grieving process. So that is awesome, and if you ever do another one, I'm coming to it. I want to come to that.
Well, we are looking at making one happen next year.
Good. So you touched on something when you were saying the stigma associated with mental illness, that in the Black community it's even worse to ask for help. Explain that.
And it's really because of the stigma. We're getting better. The response is much better. I've even seen more men, which I just celebrate.
That's awesome.
The fact.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Men, you have to get in there and exactly.
Absolutely. And, you know, because men don't like to get in touch with their feelings anyway, let alone acknowledge that and own that there's vulnerability. And when they want to take responsibility for times in their lives when they've made bad choices based on being imbalanced mentally and emotionally, that is to be celebrated. So we are making progress in that area. For the most part, in the Black community, there's a distrust of the medical field as a whole, particularly mental health. And that's one of the reasons why I admittedly am reluctant or hesitant when it comes to medication. I look at historically how Black people have been used for experiments with regard to medication and just overall surgery. Women were used, Black women were used to practice on with regard to various kind of surgery. And so there is a distrust in our community. And we have this pressure that we put on ourselves that you've got to be strong, just be strong.
Exactly.
I remember growing up, the message was always from the adults to the kids, get over it, shake it off. You ain't got time to deal with that.
Well, I think that still is everywhere. Like there was older generations were tough. You had to keep moving.
Absolutely. And when you've got a household, particularly with single parents, that are focused on just getting the bills paid, making sure that all of the priorities are taken care of.
You don't have time to stop down to help your kid.
No.
If there's something's going on.
Dry up those tears. Let's go. Let's go. We got to go. Come on.
You're absolutely right.
And we have to stop that because it's so damaging.
It's not healthy to live. You also were saying something that's damaging is what the Black community has to see in the news every day.
Absolutely.
Explain that.
And when we are constantly dealing with messaging that suggests we're second-class citizens, from laws that are not in our favor, from a justice system that does not operate in our favor as a whole, from even human services that don't necessarily operate in our favor. When you are in crises and you walk in and there's this automatic assumption about you not needing help. Look at what happened with Serena Williams.
Yes.
Where she couldn't even get, as a celebrity, a superstar.
Yes.
She's having a baby. She's in pain. Her pain was dismissed.
It
what she
was.
was going through. That kind of messaging constantly.
That you have to be tough.
Yes.
You are not allowed to yes, right.
You don't
but
feel
another
pain.
woman, you could coddle her. What's the difference? Why can't this African American woman be coddled as well for her pain? Yes, I totally agree. I do feel there's a stigma out there that is separated when it comes to how you treat mental illness. Absolutely. And the pandemic has only made it worse.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when the pandemic first started, there was this, I don't know where the false information came from, but I remember when it started, the message to the Black community was that Black people were not getting COVID.
Wow.
And so because that was how it was presented initially, then people just took for granted that they didn't need to take precaution,
Right.
which then set us up.
To get sick.
And so the numbers looked different when it came to who was dying. The higher representation of death was from the Black community. And
Right.
I believe that it started because the initial message was we were immune
Right.
to
and
the
then
COVID
the message,
virus.
And then the message was no one wanted, in the Black community wanted to get vaccines, the vaccination, so that nobody was getting it. And so it all starts with what the news puts out as that message.
That propaganda.
That propaganda.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you so much, Topaz. We have to take a commercial break, but when we come back, everybody, Topaz is going to drop some knowledge on how we can move forward
Yes.
with our mental illness and get into 2022 healthy. But first, thank you so much. But first, it is time for our Colorado Lottery Trivia Question of the Week, everybody. And the question today is, how much do Colorado Lottery holiday scratch games bring in every holiday season? Remember, a lot of it goes back into the state of Colorado, and we'll tell you the answer after the break.
Kathy J.
The Colorado Lottery is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. Colorado Lottery, play on.
Kathy J.
Welcome back to the Kathy J Show. Now, before the break, we asked you, how much do Colorado Lottery holiday scratch games bring in every holiday season? And the answer is, get ready, everybody, $21 million every year. And that's $5 million for lottery beneficiaries. So we know that that goes back into the state and it goes to the GoCo. So very cool, everybody. All right, we are here hanging out with Topaz McBride. She owns her own psychotherapy practice. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about really fast if someone feels something is definitely off, and would that be something that is now, I've been like this for a week, because like you said, you and I, anybody can fall into some sort of depression or anxiety. Normal people all of a sudden are like, I can't leave the house because of the anxiety of COVID.
Sure.
So it happens. Is it like after a month we realize, how long is the time frame where we can try to recognize maybe I do have a problem?
Well, first of all, what I would say, more so than the length of time, is look at how it's impacting your daily functioning.
Yes.
Are you dealing with something that is now interfering with your performance at work?
Okay.
Is it affecting how you're responding to your children, how
Yes.
you're parenting, your sex drive?
Because it's everything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So once you say, okay, yes, I could have this issue, then what's their next step? Because I agree with you. I have so many friends that don't have money to go to get professional help, even $50 to go see a therapist one time. So is there things that people can do to help themselves try to get through the holiday and then try to get better?
Absolutely. First of all, I'm going to say take advantage of the free events, the free services that are out there, like this grief and loss event that we did a couple of weeks ago. It was free to community. Look for therapists that have sliding fee scales, such as myself. I do offer sliding fee scales, and in crises, I even offer free sessions.
That's awesome.
Up to 3 sessions.
That's awesome.
But outside of that, pets are amazing therapy.
Yes.
I sometimes use dogs in my therapy sessions with victims and with clients who are dealing with trauma and anxiety. Pets can be very helpful.
Yes.
And that's why you have so many pets now that are trained specifically to support people.
Yeah.
Exercise, fresh air, light. Don't keep your homes or your bedrooms dark all the time.
Right, so many people do, and all that's doing is adding, it feels sad, when your house is always dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Open the curtains, open the windows.
Open
get
your
fresh
life.
air. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Do something that makes you smile, that makes you laugh.
Yes.
Do fun stuff. Laughing matters. People would be surprised at what laughing does. It releases all this serotonin and it really does something to re-stimulate you. When you can laughing and sex are probably at the top 2 in terms of just natural things that we can do
Yes.
to generate a different energy.
You're right. I always call it resetting the clock. After I've had relations, I'm always like, oh, I needed to reset my clock. It does feel good. You forget. That is a way to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Yoga. I partner with a yoga instructor to do yoga with some of my clients. Body movement, dance movement, art. I use art therapy.
So I'm thinking when you're, by doing all that, you're kind of removing what's been obsessing in your brain out, like the anxiety out, because now I'm focusing on yoga. Like that's kind of the thing. Replace what has been in your thoughts, correct?
Well, it's actually a little more intentional than that.
Okay.
When we're partnering it in a therapy session,
oh
for
no,
example,
we only have like 10 seconds left. This sucks. I'm so sorry, Topaz. You know what? We're going to go live, Facebook Live, right after this, and we'll finish the conversation. You can find us at Kathy J on air. That's where you can find us. Topaz, I'm sorry. Good job.